Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the south corner of the map, playing in blue, we got lucifron, playing as the Jeanne d'Arc faction, and his opponent. On the west side of the map, playing in red, we got Wham-O-1, playing as the Byzantines. Welcome everyone to Frisian Marshes. The map chosen today is an interesting one. It's part of the Elite Classic tournament, and I'm super excited for this one. It's going to be two interesting civilizations picked. I think Jeanne d'Arc is quite a usual pick for this map because it can be very aggressive. Frisian Marshes, the reason why I love this map, by the way, is because it does entice aggression. Gold positions are obviously relatively far away from the base, but more importantly, they usually clump together in like this. There's packs of two, and they're usually far forward. I gotta say, lucifron's goals are a little bit more interesting than Wham's. You tend to see it going forwards towards each other, as Wham's is. But lucifron's kind of got his going to the side. I gotta say, that base is actually quite nice. It's nice for lucifron, maybe, in a way. I mean, it's still far away from the town centre for it to become a problem. But yeah, I think the reason why I love Frisian Marshes, it can be very aggressive. But another layer of this map to consider is that there are a lot of sheep. And I mean a lot of sheep on the map. And what that allows to happen is it allows civilizations that do need a lot of food to get that safely. So you often see a lot of units being pumped out. But what's interesting is the pick for Wham. He's gone for Byzantines. And the reason why I think it's an interesting one is because it's not necessarily known to be an aggressive civilization, which in many ways Frisian Marshes tends to suit, but I think the Byzantines can be quite strong in this one because it does feed into the idea that Castle Age civs, or civs that do have a power spike in Castle Age, can do well on maps where there's a lot of food and a lot of safe food. So as long as Wham gets a lot of sheep, he should be in a good spot, and you're pretty much guaranteed in Frisian Marshes, unless things go terribly. You will be able to get the sheep home and gather a lot of food. Now Jeanne, working hard, working her life way up as starting off as a peasant. She's going to be working hard to get on her journey as a hero. The question is, how quickly will she level up? And the thing about the Byzantines is got to make sure it doesn't take any unnecessary fights so that she doesn't get valuable XP and level up too quickly. It's going to be the Grand Winery for Wham to get the additional 60% gathering of olive oil from olive groves, berries. Definitely a nice landmark to be having. You know, we do see a lot more posturing towards this landmark rather than the Imperial Hippodrome. Imperial Hippodrome was kind of doing it for a while. Now the Grand Winery is becoming a fan favourite for the Byzantines. Going a decent number of villages on stone. The kind of cool things about the Byzantines, actually their economy has been buffed recently quite significantly. Considering now that their cistern opens up with an additional 10% gather rate. It used to be 5, I believe. If not less than that. But yeah. It's now 10, which is fantastic to start off with, and it'll scale pretty well, additional 4% each water level. And the reason why I'm excited for this map is because you've got Jeanne, who kind of feels like has to do damage, because the Byzantines, when they do get online with their economy, they can really start to pump out, and a lot of it revolves around the system, of course. Getting multiple water levels increases the gathering rate of the villages. More importantly, it scales really nicely with the production rate being increased as well. So they go hand in hand, right? Your economy, you want it to fuel your military, and Conscriptio allows for that to happen in a really smooth way. Bear in mind as well, they do get access to Limitane, so I wonder whether the Byzantines will have just a death ball of Limitane and, well, depending on the mercenary contract, could choose between 3 different routes. Maybe Longbowmen could be a play here, because you could imagine the army composition of Longbowmen and Limitane. It's a little bit disgusting. I think there are some army compositions in Age of Empires 4 which are a little bit oppressive at times, I gotta say. You know, things like Limitane and Javelin Throwers is one of them as well. Limitane, Longbowmen. If you think about Marlians as a civilization in itself, you've got the Donsos and Javelin Throwers. These units together in combination can pose a lot of problems. And so, yeah, I think this could be cool to see how this one pans out. I mean, whether it be Longbowmen or Javelin Throwers, I think it's got to be one of the two for Wham. Be interested to see which one he picks. Jeanne now popping out with a knight. And moving forward with... Oh, hello. Okay, we've seen this a couple of times before, so it's going to go for an outpost rush. Which is interesting. Like, you do often see this, looking to try to deny key resources. And I think it makes a lot of sense. Wait, why is he not going for the... Okay, to be fair, he's not really finding gold important. So, he's got a decision to make where he wants to put the outpost. Putting on the berries, which makes a lot of sense. So, he's going to deny food, but more importantly, he's going to deny a bit of olive oil. I love the positioning as well, because ultimately... Now, you could go for the gold, but gold is a little less important in the feudal age, right? You want the food and wood. But what this outpost does, not only does it deny the berries, it allows lucifron to keep Wham contained. What you don't want your enemies to do is to get onto the shorefish. You don't want them to get into deer camps. There's so much food to be had, and ultimately denying this with outposts is incredibly strong. And of course, there's no way for the Byzantines to really deny this. It's just going to happen. And he's even gone for a second town center. This is actually super greedy. I mean, I was expecting to see a couple of Limitani, expecting to fight back against a couple of knights, but it's just actually gone for a second town center opening. I gotta say, I'm super excited about this match. This is totally different from what I was expecting. Often you see civilizations like this go for a castle age to try and get an advantage as a tech up, but no, he's not having any of it. He's going to go for a second town center, and he's going to scale the economy with the systems as well. That's interesting, I gotta say. Another outpost for lucifron, and he could just try and get us around, like slowly but surely. Is going to be getting arrow slits as well, makes a lot of sense, right? This is going to be great, guys. I love these kind of games. This is completely kind of different from what we've seen. We don't see Byzantines. We haven't seen Byzantines playing on this map at all, really. But not only that, it's kind of going against what I've expected to see. Wham is cooking. There's that water level 2 now, so we'll be getting the 14% increased gather rate in the villages. Not to mention the extra production, 40%. He's actually starting to get now. Going to get barracks and a stable. So it's just going to be a horseman and a Mitane opening. But I do think Wham, he has to do something about this. This could get out of hand. Could get out of hand in a big way. Not only is lucifron denying key resources for Wham, keeping him at home, not being able to take shorefish. He's got a lot of map control. It allows him to take the shorefish on the map and get plenty of efficient economy. Looks like he's going to go for a second town center as well, actually, lucifron. Interesting play. I was kind of half expecting to see lucifron go quite heavy into aggression. But perhaps he doesn't feel confident about his chances of killing his opponent. Interesting to see. He's going to play the macro game behind this and try and limit the expansions to the pocket economies for Wham. Not feeling confident he can do too much damage, so going for a second town center to kind of match it a little bit. There's actually bolstering up the outpost as well. He's really going for... Wait, actually, maybe he's not going for a second town center. I'll take it back. I wasn't expecting the fortifications, actually. But yeah, he's fortifying them. He wants to keep them safe. So maybe we'll go for aggression behind this. Now, I don't think we see it a lot in Age of Empires 4, but another fun thing to do, we've seen it a lot in Age of Empires 2. You can actually wall around your outposts, and it makes it very difficult for your opponent to get rid of them with melee units. In particular. At least in the feudal age. Knights backing away. Limitane chasing, of course. Jeanne has scaled up. She's become a hunter. She's got enough XP. She's making her life improvements. She's moving up in the world. Could use a divine arrow. Does it come in? Could come in now. Might use it. Lucifron. Will he tag it? No, he doesn't. He backs away. Doesn't want to get too close to the town center. A message in chat, you can throw torches over walls. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. I think if you keep a substantial distance, though, it needs to be quite close to walls for them to get torches over. So you might be able to place the walls a little bit. Yeah, you'd have to place them a bit further out. And here come the torches. Wham's had enough. Does he have textiles? Of course. Wait, he doesn't. Okay. I was expecting to see textiles, but he doesn't want it. He's going to just try and take this down. This is fortified. Now, the Limitane will push back the knights, so really all he's up against is the arrow slits. I like the timing, actually, of this. This is a good timing to do it. He was trying to get forward production. He's still continuing forward production. Double barracks. Interesting. He's going for the fast castle behind this. Or fastish castle lucifron. Trying to get the man at arms. And I do like that play. Trying to get an armored unit that will be very difficult for Wham to counter. But it looks like Wham, he wants the gold. He wants it in a big way. Jeanne has fallen. Army continues to chase. Now, one horseman got a bit of value there. Just one villager killed. The guild hall is a choice. Go for a triple barracks. Now, how does Wham address this? It does have an outpost, but could potentially look to get a manganese placement if he does get to the castle age. But it feels like a pipe dream. Because he's only just going on to gold, but he's mass mining it. 15 villages on gold. Just as well, because this is kind of his only window of opportunity to get that. Like once a couple of man-at-arms pop out, which they're already starting to queue up, this is looking dangerous for Wham. That's going around the back on the wood line. Is relatively safe and secure with the town centre being there and Limitane chasing. I'm curious to see how Wham addresses the incoming problem of the man-at-arms, which are very close by. The proxy base can be difficult to handle and deal with. Horseman again going on the villagers on Shorefish. So getting good value for the second time. This time Lucifron going to try and fight this off again with villagers. Could be a bit precarious. Alright, so Lucifron, he's waiting. He's not going to dive in just yet. He wants to wait for a couple of them and then push on in. Should get another villager kill here. Does. Now what's interesting, with all the aggression, like, Lucifron hasn't necessarily done too much damage. And here come the man-at-arms. Limitano going to try and hold. Villagers being pushed back. Will he have enough for a tech up? Even if he does, it's going to be tricky because he's not going to have a particularly safe source of gold. Going to try and get another outpost, but the man-at-arms probably won't care, although he doesn't have iron undermesh in yet. I think that's something that Lucifron really wants. It really does make a big difference taking fire from 2 town centers. The Limitano will take this fight, actually. I think the man-at-arms won't get too much value. It can cause a bit of idle time, but not much more than that. The iron undermesh not there. He does deal with it, Wham. You need a little bit more, Lucifron. Outpost now does have the arrow slit, so villagers will come back out there and start to mine. I think gold is definitely a priority for Wham. If he can get enough gold, he'll get the tech up, and then he'll start to get some more armored units of his own. Or maybe some anti-armored unit. Well, to see. Now, this is from just courtesy of having the blacksmith does get bloomery, which is the attack upgrade, melee attack upgrade for the units for free. And because in the castle age, you did get the second one as well. But again, Iron Undermesh is actually in at the moment, but with double outpost, Man-at-Arms are taking some hits, taking some villagers, but Wham keeping the weaker villagers, they're bringing them back home, back to safety, keeping them alive. The micro is on point, and whilst Man-at-Arms are trying to do as much damage as they can, Wham is making sure he keeps the weak villagers on home. And they're going to become farmers now, or olive grove pickers, I guess. A double outpost was a good idea for sure. Now behind this, Lucifron is technically in the castle age, so could potentially think about getting some of the relics. Does have the guild hall in play. Current toggle on to food. It could be a good time to pick up those relics because it doesn't really seem like Lucifron's going to do critical damage anytime soon. The big concern for Lucifron at this point is if he doesn't get the relics, he's already behind on economy, right? 56 economy versus 39. Lucifron just has not been able to do the damage that he would have wanted to have done by now. And I gotta say, I favour Wham's position. Like, this economy is really scaling. He's still feudal age, but that's going to change in a moment. But Lucifron's got to find a way to get back into the game, economy-wise at least. Could need to try and deny the gold as best he can, but double outpost is doing so much work for Wham. Jeanne loses her life once again. She's not actually particularly strong at this stage. It's actually really level 3, where she really starts to come online. Now here goes the Golden Horn Tower. Jeanne has been drafted back in for the faction. Knight diving in. Now, this is a veteran Royal Knight, so it'll be very tanky, especially considering the second ranged armor is in play. So the Man-at-Arms going to be tanky as well. But I think Wham is doing such a great job of keeping the villagers alive. Like, he's peeling away the weak ones, making sure the Man-at-Arms are working for any damage they're getting. And the concern for Lucifron is that with Wham now in the castle with a stronger economy, how does he deal with this? His edge in the game for Lucifron was the tech up. He doesn't have that edge anymore. Double archery range being placed forward, so he's going to look to get a couple of crossbows, which makes a lot of sense, right? It would hard counter anything that Lucifron's making right now. He's trying his best to try and flood and do damage, but bear in mind 2 town centers. I mean, Lucifron has to kill more villagers than Wham's producing. That's a tough ask. Archer ranges have been stopped from being built for now. He actually went for it forward, which is a curious pick. I mean, the thing is, he's actually kind of lacking space in a way. So it's kind of in a way had to. Knights will go down eventually, fighting underneath so many static defenses. I think Wham, without the static defenses, this game would be a totally different picture. Alright, villagers coming out to repair. Now the archer ranges will eventually go up. You had to commit quite a lot of villagers to do that, but just as well, getting these archery ranges is all important. Here come the crossbows. He only needs a couple of them, and he'll be fine. The outpost is on fire, so starting to make some inroads, Lucifron, but needs to do a lot more. 5 villagers need to back on out of there. Jeanne getting a couple of hits. Will she use the divine arrow? Will she get it in time? I think no, the cooldown is a bit too long there. Man-at-Arms chasing on in. But again, fighting underneath 2 town centers, fully garrisoned, and a third outpost with arrow slits. He's killing some villagers. Killed 12 so far, which is decent. Has actually moved out to the deer camp and the shortfish actually in the north, which is going to be plenty of food coming in. In terms of mercenaries, he never actually went for any mercenaries, so curious choice to go for the winery. I mean, ultimately, he didn't really get that much olive oil. Couldn't really afford to. He's going for the mercenary contract now, though. Going for the Eastern mercenary contract. Access to Keshiks, which I quite love, because at least one has been leading into Man at Arms quite heavily, so having the Keshiks will help. How's it going, Rakkawas? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm casting these live. Well, I'm live now, but these are from recordings, yeah, from the weekend. Man at Arms diving in again. I mean, he's never really been able to clump enough mass. Like, he did have a position where he was saving them, looking at the early stages of the castle age to group them together, but he didn't have enough of mass. It just keeps on trickling on through, trying to do damage. But now with crossbows coming out, with the static defenses plus crossbows, this is looking a tough ask for Lucifron, trying to wall up the, or heal up the, repair up the outpost. Gotta be careful though. The unit numbers are starting to build up a little bit for Lucifron. But again, it doesn't feel like enough, right? When you factor in Wham has got 65 villagers. To be fair, he has lost a couple along the way, so Lucifron has done some damage. Whether it's enough or not, I'm not so sure just yet. Yeah, with these crossbow numbers, the crossbow numbers really starting to build up. A third archery range. I think we're going to need a plan B from Lucifron. He's possibly going to need to get a couple of horsemen. Let's see what he's got back home that he can build with. Of course, he's got the School of Cavalry. It looks like he's kind of maintaining most of the production from the School of Cavalry. Here comes a double monasteries. Yep, so he's now looking to get the relics. The concern is that, you know, there's been a lot of time that he possibly could have had the relics a lot earlier. And that would have narrowed the gap. But of course, then he would have afforded less man-at-arms, doing less damage potentially. So it's a tricky one. It's a catch-22, right? Because you have a timing window where you've got to do damage. And any resources that you plow away from that, any resources you put away from production of man-at-arms, it's you let up on the pressure and allows Wham to get those archery ranges and crossbows out a little bit earlier. It's always an important decision. He decided to delay the relic heists. He's getting them now because I think he realizes he needs a transition away. He's got to play the late game or mid game at least. And Ram's coming out. Wham, he's on a mission to push this out. He's trying to get Ram now, Lucifron. We're surprising not to have seen it a little bit earlier to try and take the outpost a bit quicker, but I think now is a bit too late. Both players are on the mid-map, getting the plentiful food that there is on offer. Now, food is in abundance for Jeanne. Obviously, consecrated the town centre, makes the villagers a lot cheaper. Only costs 37 food per villager now. Cairo Siphon coming out for Wham. Here's a round for Lucifron. Try to get an outpost. He's going to try and take down the outpost. Villagers might actually get that up, but it might go down pretty quickly if it doesn't torch it down. Interestingly, not actually torching it down, it is now. The crossbow is slowly going to push the man-at-arms away. I'm surprised by Lucifron's continuing to make man-at-arms. That's a... I'm not so sure how he feels. I mean, he might look to try and get a secondary unit, I suspect. But he's got to move away from man-at-arms. It's not going to work. Cairo Siphon now looking to take this one down. Going to burn it down to the ground over time. But it certainly needs to... he can't trickle in the man-at-arms anymore. And he's going to extend the water level once again to a level 3. And this is where things become really scary for the Byzantines, by the way. Scaling the economy, getting the water level up, gather rates for the village is going to increase. But more importantly, side by side, the production speed is going to increase for the buildings too. Takes out the outpost, and now he's got free reign. He's got space to breathe, Wham. The economy can be more expansive now if he wishes. And he's pumping out some Limitane, hardened Limitane as well. So going to go for an armed composition of Limitane and crossbows. That's going to be hard to defeat. No, that's got one relic in the bag, trying to pick up another. But unfortunately, that outpost that was taken down never actually stopped the expansion to the deer camp and the shorefish here as a big part of that Byzantine economy. And as Tomato Own mentions in the chat, yeah, it never was stopped. I think, as he says, if this economy was spotted, it could have been a different picture. Now, even now, Wham actually has the presence of mind to get a relic or two. Could deposit in the Grand Winery, get extra olive oil, and get those mercenaries out. We do actually see one lowly Keshik. Wonder where he is. Now, the School of Cavalry has been consecrated. Not that food is an issue, but he's got a lot of food banked up. A lot of gold, too. I mean, is he thinking about Imperial Age? Surely not, right? I think the economy is struggling. He does have 24 villages on wood. He's going to need... because if he's going to take into horsemen and archers, or archers, yeah, he's going to go for archers, which makes a lot of sense. The big concern is the Limitane. Like, if he gets a massive Limitane, he can use the shield wall ability, trying to soak up a lot of damage. But Jeanne goes down. Crossbow snipe. The man-at-arms tank in the front number. They're going to get demolished. The man-at-arms at this point are relatively irrelevant. Yeah, it might be... it's a question of whether Lucifron's thinking about Imperial Age, or is he looking to continue... It feels like he's... Because he's got a lot of villages on gold, and I'm kind of thinking of how is he going to spend it. When you have this number of villages on gold, it feels like a slow play to Imperial Age, because there's no real way you can deal with the crossbows with an armoured unit. Of course, the gold is really expended on armoured units. Either way, can I contest the sacred sites? This one unfortunately doesn't get that one. Does get 4 of the relics, and to be fair, a lot of his income from gold would be from the relics. Does have 18 villages actually, though, to be fair. Yeah, it might be. Red Palace might be a play. And the big concern now is that this leaves a really nice transition for Varangian guards for the Byzantines. Because bear in mind, to get to the Imperial Age rather for the Byzantines, they would need food and gold, and he'd look to try and posture his economy towards that direction, so that would actually feed into being able to produce Varangian guards, as well as slowly get to the Imperial Age. So Byzantines should be in a good spot. Bear in mind, his economy is heavily based on food and gold anyway for the crossbows. And so it leaves it a very nice, easy transitions at times for the Byzantines, depending on what they want to do. Red Palace in the middle. The question is whether this will go up or not. I'm not convinced. I mean, this could be dicey. Like, if Wham spots, yeah, he backs away. Recognizes it's never really going to happen. It's going to go a bit more defensive on the gold veins. And this is where things become interesting, right? We're heading into the 25-minute mark of the game almost, and frisian marshes, this is where the middle map becomes really important. There are 2 tiles of 8,000 gold veins. You know, you need that gold secure. There's a stone as well, 2,400. And both players are going to be posturing towards the middle. They kind of have to. The tech up there for Lucifron could be an important one, but what is important is going to have to try and find a way to deal with this mass of units for Wham. The big concern for the tech up is Lucifron is not going to necessarily have enough time for it to becoming a meaningful like influence in a fight. I think if Wham notices the tech up, he might just dive the main base. And the real concern for Lucifron is it's a whole different story if Wham doesn't have a significant army, right? But he definitely has a significant army. What are these villagers off to? He's going to get some outposts? Yeah, he's going to be aggressive. Like, he said, you outpost rushed me in the early game. I'm going to fight back with it. And I love that Wham is doing this these days. I think I've seen him in a couple of other games. I don't know if it was Puppy. It might have been his brother. I'm not sure it was Puppy Paul versus Louis, but, you know, getting outposts in 4 positions at this stage of the game, we haven't seen it that often in the last couple of years of Age of Empires 4, but it makes a lot of sense, right? You got a map control, you can soak up some stone whilst you're there. Horseman there for Lucifron, trying to get some raids, but no real economy there. Bear in mind, it's quite likely that there's a massive olive grove transition for Wham at the moment, getting both olive oil and food, of course. And there it is. A beautiful olive grove transition. Keeping a couple Keshiks on the right side active, and this is going to be a hard hold here for Lucifron. Even adding in a Mangonel. This is not looking great. Lucifron's army is waiting. He needs the upgrades. He doesn't want to fight without them. Makes a lot of sense. You've just invested a heck of a lot of resources in that Imperial Age. He's gonna have to wait for the upgrades. Does lose the Mangonel relatively cheaply there, Wham, though. Unfortunately, this is big value on the villagers. The Keshiks, 3 of them, only 3 of them, getting so much value. A couple of horsemen trying to dive in and do the same. Lucifron's not spawning this. Oh no, Lucifron, Lucy. Oh, he's not reacting. This is it. This is over. Like, he's just losing so much. He's got 8 villages in gold. Lucifron, no. Oh god, this is looking rough. It was looking rougher without this kill, but this is oh no, Lucifron. Oh god, I think he might just notice that and tap out, because how do you come back from that? It's down to 56 villagers. Things were in dire straits economy wise anyway. He went for the tech up to try and make a difference, but he's lost the School of Cavalry, and now it's definitely going to be a hard hold. I mean, this is one push that Lucifron needs to hold. He doesn't really have much coming in the back of this. If he loses his army, it's going to be hard to replace. Oh god. I mean, this is so hard because we've all been there, of course. We have notifications, as Myriad says in the chat. You've got notifications everywhere. It's so hard to notice at times. Everything's going manic. You're fighting on multiple fronts. You're being fought on multiple fronts. It's going to fight on the single front. Horseman's going to try and push it in, but there's just so many Varangian guards tanking. Mangonel will possibly go down to a horseman. That is a big pick-off, significant pick-off. Jeanne uses the Divine Restoration, but she does go down slowly after. Archer numbers looking decent, to be fair, but Varangian guards need to be sorted out. I think the Varangian guards are the big difference maker. It's going to be hard to deal with. He's going to focus on the archers first. Does have elite archers versus crossbowmen. So the Jeanne d'Arc should push this back slightly. He's got to deal with the Varangian guards first. To be fair, the Varangian guards are all dead now, so that's fine. Going to push the crossbows. One Cairo Cypher's still working hard. I mean, Lucifron's not out of this just yet. Just yet. Bear in mind, the town centres are having the arbalest in placement because of the Red Palace, and it's absolutely bonkers. It's actually quite hard for the Byzantines to push. I think that's actually a saving grace. The Red Palace makes a huge difference here. The archer's going to slowly work on those crossbows in good numbers. What we find with the Jeanne d'Arc faction, and many other civilizations as well, sometimes it's very hard to just kill them off because of the power spike they get in the Imperial Age for defensive capabilities. So the Red Palace itself is such a great landmark, but it's about what it does for the rest of the fact. Oh, a massive Mangonel shot on the Stealth Forest, and that again is such a key moment in this map. Like the map with the Stealth Forest, if you don't have vision like that, you can be caught a cropper, and so much HP was taken off there in a blink of an eye. Horseman going to try and get that vision now. But Lucifron, it was a good hold. The concern for Lucifron now is the next couple of minutes is going to be really tough. He's behind on economy. He lost so many villages in a blink of an eye. He's got to find a way to solidify his position. Maybe getting keeps up at some point, but he's got nothing coming in terms of stone. I suspect water level will start to increase. Yeah, there it is. For WAM. Again, looking to scale that economy, and this was going to be really scary, right? Because the production builds have 100% production speed. Of course, the importance of that does wear off as you head forward in the game, because wood becomes less of an issue and people can just place down multiple production buildings, but it's still a nice power spike to have that increased production speed. Keep playing defensively for WAM, so he's being patient, I've got to say. But I gotta say, there was an absolute massacre today. And nothing remains. Not even carcasses. Not even bodies. Carcasses. That was a bit dehumanizing, wasn't it? I meant bodies. You guys know what I meant. Gonna rebuild their school of cavalry. And WAM is actually walling up. Okay, so he's not content. He's not thinking he did enough damage, maybe. He doesn't want to push out just yet. Wants to play the super late game, which, again, actually, to be fair, I think the Byzantines are one civilization that actually have an incredibly strong late game. Like, I mean, all these villages that he has in excess of Lucifron, bear in mind, they are now getting an additional 22% gather rate. The economy is overwhelming. This task from Lucifron, make no mistake about it, it's a tough one. WAM is going to go to the Imperial Age, so we'll get the tech up and upgrade his units, and then probably likely to push out. It's almost a 200 population cap, and I think this game is going to be heading in one direction. Not the band, not that. But Lucifron's certainly going to have a hard hold, and I wonder, how does he come back from this? How does he see a way through? The only thing I can think of is him trying to stall out the game to a super late game, just to help him breathe a little bit, get an economy back in line, but it's going to be tricky. Like, I think two ways to do it is to get stone walls, keeps, and town centres. To be fair, town centres themselves, with the Red Palace, it's not bad with the arbalest in placement. He's really walling up. Wham. But I love this play, by the way, because we casted a game before this, and we were discussing how when your opponent's in an age up and you're thinking about aging up, one thing to bear in mind is you've got to have a good standing army so you can defend if you are pushed. The other thing to do that you can do is wall up like this. Now, incidentally, in that last game we were casting, it was the Mongols, so they couldn't wall up, and that was actually part of their downfall. WAM obviously walling up, knowing that he's just teched up, so could be facing a bit of aggression. But unfortunately for Lucifron, he doesn't really have the army for it. Or at least, he doesn't have the economy for it. He's got a decent amount of army, to be fair, but if he loses his army, it's going to be almost very, well, it's going to be not impossible, but very difficult to rebuild it. And so he's just trying to stall the game out a little bit, or hold the game a little bit. But now, wham, he's had enough. He's pushing out. Jeanne looking to get that sacred site. He's taking the fight. Limitane, they brace against the horsemen. The horsemen do back away. There's ringing guards sprinkle in there as well. So if the shield wall comes down with the ringing guards, they might push on in. Springles, though, for Jeanne, does take out one Mangonel, which is a good start to the fight. Wait, on the right side, Keshix, he's trying to go for part 2. Wham, realizing he got good value last time, but lucifron not taking the bait this time. There's a shield wall ability for the Limitane. Ringing guards diving on in, and he's going to push on in. Does have a culverin, cannon rather, so takes out the siege that Wham has, but it doesn't seem like he needed that, to be fair. The ringing guards are going to get wrap around on the archers. They are elite archers, but again, they just tickle the ringing guards. He doesn't have incendiary arrows just yet. Couldn't afford it. Does have those 3 springles just sitting there, not being able to do too much. Divine Restoration comes out, but they're going to need something more than that. The ringing guards getting round. The numbers actually starting to dwindle a little bit there for Wham. Defender's advantage almost there for lucifron. I mean, he's coming in with more horsemen, but they're going to perish pretty quickly. Jeanne sitting on the back line as a ranged unit. And the Limitane is still just shield walling it up. That's going to soak up. Incendiary arrow does come in, incidentally, during the fight. I mean, ultimately, elite archers should take down the crossbows, but it's just the incendiary arrows. They're helping, but the shield wall from the Limitane, they're just absorbing everything, allowing the crossbows to do what they need to do. And I think, in fact, this fight, I think the crossbows just win it. This is looking rough. The Limitane being the difference maker. Keshix coming in from the west. Even more Limitane being spammed through. And I think Limitane is such a strong late game unit for the Byzantines. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. lucifron tried to do what he did. Tried to be aggressive in the early game. Jeanne dies as well. But wham. And the Byzantines, they take over frisian marshes. Hope you guys enjoy this castle game. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the content. Plenty more castle games coming your way. Take care, and see you next time.